Now we're gonna look at Halo 1, which is gonna be quite different of an experience because the challenge between Halo 1 and Halo 2 was, or I mean, the difference in challenges is the health. In Halo 2, you can only resort to recharging your health,
recharging your shield,
recharging your shields. Sorry. Which the only way to do it is just to stay in cover and not get damaged so much. But now in Halo 1, you actually have to look up med kits, find out how to move around the map, and then when you do, you figure out what's good, what's not good, what works, what doesn't, how to move around the map, and you don't die as fast. In Halo 2, you die in like maybe 3 seconds of getting shot, versus in Halo 1 where you probably last like 10 seconds. Gives you enough time to see why you died, how you can improve, and where to go. And that's another thing too. You got to see why. If your entire mentality is based off of one type of meta style playstyle, it's not going to make for a fun experience, which is the whole point of what we're talking about. How much difficulty is too much.
So yeah, right now we're looking at the gameplay of Halo 1 Combat Evolved, and you can see that he's actually being a lot more aggressive in this game due to the fact that he picked up an overshield already, which is something that's largely missing from the Halo 2 campaign, if I'm honest. There's not like overshields laying around in different places.
There's not as many.
Yeah, there's not as many, and there's not any med packs in Halo 2 either.
And that's one of the things that changes the dynamic of the game. When you're forced to... In Halo 2, it just draws in a thing where you're just hiding in the back, making sure you're not dying.
No, and I'm noticing here as well that the aliens don't fire as fast as they do in Halo 2. They actually fire at normal rates of fire.
Well, if you look closer, it's because they're using plasma pistols, not plasma.
No, but the elite was actually using a plasma rifle too, and it didn't.
Oh yeah.
It actually was firing at the normal fire rate as well.
That's another thing.
You don't get advertising on our podcast. How dare you?
Yeah, that's one thing as well, and you can see here that the enemies are even they're not staying in the back, fighting you off from a distance. They're actually trying to go around, get him from the back, trying to be more strategic.
That animation always gets me. Right there, the red elite was I guess his shield's burned out, and he was doing that animation where he kind of freaks out and exactly to attack you, whatever.
But so you see, here's something interesting right here. The guy was prepared. He saw that he was low shield, and he went back and picked up another overshield pack to continue going to the next fight. So it encourages you to search around, make sure you get the right, that you know what's around you, what items you have available to you, and then challenges you to know when to use them for the battles to make it a more interesting, scenario. And in Halo 2, you don't feel like that. You feel like you're mostly just hiding in the back and just picking them off one by one, taking your time, being slow and strategic, which is fine. That's a certain type of strategy for a shooter, and it's very valid. In a real life situation, you wouldn't go running out like guns a-blazing like you see in the movies. You would take your time, use your sight lines correctly, aim, try and take out one guy at a time. You don't try and take on the army in the world. But that's not what the dynamic of Halo was when it was first created. It created an experience where you were challenged to move around the map in certain ways and learn how to use your toolkits to its maximum potential. You don't feel like that when you play Halo 2, and that's kind of my argument on saying that difficulty is a bit too steep. It's too much because it detracts from the fun of figuring out how to play the game. You're not figuring out how to fight in those scenarios. You're just figuring out that if you just stay in the back and you camp all the time, you'll get past each level slowly but surely.
That's my argument. I'm looking at this gameplay of Halo 1 Combat Evolved, and honestly, to me, it looks kind of boring after seeing the gameplay of Halo 2.
Well, the memories are always going to be there too. I mean, when you see the improved animations,
no, but it's not just the improved animation; it's also the way that the AI is programmed. Here, in Halo 2 they sidestep, but here it seems like the sidestep takes a bit longer, almost like a second and a half or something, or 2 seconds, whereas in Halo 2 it was a lot quicker. And then also the fact that their firing rate stays normal on this difficulty, your shield just stays up for so long, and they give you so many opportunities to just get off free shots, where before that wasn't the case. You see, to me, this looks more like it's almost like a hard difficulty playthrough rather than a legendary, just because it's not the kind of difficulty that I'm accustomed to playing through on a legendary, because I first started with Halo 2 regardless. Now I could see why more people might say that this is a better legendary difficulty, especially if you're not trying to play that's like hyper abusive like the legendary difficulty of Halo 2, and maybe you're trying to see the legendary ending of the game or something like that. That might be something that frustrates you. But honestly, I just feel like I don't know, this just looks too easy to me.
Yeah, the argument can be said, what's too easy, what's too hard, because you have the option to kind of fight back on equal grounds with the aliens in Halo 1 versus Halo 2, where you kind of just, it's like a one-way thing. You either die or you don't type of deal. And that's one of the things too that you want to look out for, because at a certain point, what makes difficulty too much difficult? What makes difficulty too much? And it's beyond making Halo 1 the way it was. Did they have to really make you die that fast to make it harder, or could they have just improved enemy AI, which is what they did in Halo 2? But on top of that, it was overkill at that point. If they would have just kept Halo 2's AI system but then made the difficulty the same as Halo 1, I think it would have been a better option, because it still would have been more challenging, but at the same time it wouldn't just have been like just a meta type of game where you're forced to do one certain type of thing to get through the game.
Right. So yeah, in Halo 2, on top of the fact that they blew up the stats like they did and everything like that, they did also add the new versions of enemies. I don't know if that's a thing that happened
in Halo 1. It did. You saw the red elites. They're supposed to be blue.
True, but also if one thing I want to bring up for the sword, the detraction of the difficulty in Halo 2, in Halo Combat Evolved versus Halo 2, is that while Halo 2 was pretty broken all throughout. Oh, excuse me. While Halo 2 was pretty broken all throughout, and maybe it had a difficulty spike here or there with the introduction of the sniper jackals, Halo Combat Evolved had our favorite, the RPG floods.
Oh yeah, great. No, but I think that's in Halo 3 and Halo 2 as well.
No, yeah, but I think in Halo Combat Evolved it was particularly bad because it was one of the more. It was like a more common.
Yeah, that's a form of difficulty spike right there, where it just changes the experience drastically. You're like, whoa, what is this? It hasn't been part of the game at all.
Right.
And it changes the experience.
Yeah, like me, I don't know. I guess a lot of people don't like the fact that they have to play super careful in the Halo 2 Legendary campaign, but I honestly prefer a consistent getting wrecked and having to be careful over, let's say, having a difficulty be a smooth ride and all of a sudden encountering this insurmountable section of the game that now forces you to completely rewire how you thought about it up until this point,
But that's also the point why I brought up this topic of Halo into the podcast. It's that right there. Like, you have to play too careful. It's too much because it drastically changes the experience of what Halo is supposed to be. This isn't COD. You're not hiding behind corners and in a real World War simulator. You're supposed to be the Spartan guy that kind of has a bit more of a fighting chance against the elite, despite how aggressively violent they are. But you're supposed to be the guy that can overcome that. So to overcome it by hiding like a regular Marine, you just have a power armor. It detracts from the experience of what is Halo. The fact that you can go out there and you make a stand. You are like that one scene in Wonder Woman from the movie where she's the only one that can cross no man's land because she is no woman or whatever. But she takes out the shield. She walks up. She sits in front of the Gatling gun, takes in all the bullets, and which is like one of the coolest scenes of the entire movie, because she's the only one that can move up. If she was just, I'm a superhero and bullets don't damage me, but I'm still gonna snipe from this far away because I could die, from bullet. It changes the experience right there. She's no longer Wonder Woman. She's just super hero or super woman compared to a regular woman. It's just a Captain America practice.
So here's what I have to say about that. She actually, Wonder Woman can die by bullet. That's why she has to block it with her armor. But if we look into hey there,
Water Shirt.
Hey, thanks for the follow, Water Shirt. We really appreciate it. So check this out though. That's an interesting point, because I would actually argue the opposite in my case. You have to, that goes two ways. If you're Master Chief, so you're supposed to be this awesome super soldier that can take out everything, but you have to remember that the other half of that story is that supposedly the Covenant are that legendary of a force too.
Yeah, exactly.
The Marines have been getting destroyed left and right. Humanity's on its last leg. The Covenant is turning the planet to glass, essentially. And if you're just able to breeze through it left and right, and by the way, so are your Marines, so is Johnson, everyone else can just kill the elites and everything too. Are they really that much of a threat? All of a sudden, you put on legendary, everyone's just dying instantly, and it's up to you now. You're the only thing that's standing between the Covenant and the safety of the planet and humanity. So yeah, it might feel like you have to hide and your armor gets chipped away at more like instantly and stuff, and you could die if you're not careful. But the whole point, in my opinion, is getting you to be that guy, getting you to be the only one who'll survive this insurmountable force. And then afterwards, once you've beaten this insurmountable difficulty, you're rewarded by the fact that you are truly the Master Chief because you beat this legendary force. You're the only soldier who was able to do it. And now it actually feels like the enemies were an insurmountable force rather than, you just have your ego inflated by casually walking through them. Now you've earned your title of the demon,
Exactly. That's a good point too. But it goes to the thing in Halo 1 when you're going through the legendary. Yeah, there is a difficulty spike here and there. I mean, it's the first of their game and it has the old school syndrome problem where it's literally just difficulty was hard to balance at first because they were getting to learn how to make the game mechanics online. We can put those faults in there. Halo 1 is not perfect. I'm just using it as an example. But it's that kind of thing where it challenges you to be unique about your toolset. And then over time, as you learn, you become more auxiliary because they're a force to be reckoned with. They're killing you, but you're learning as you go along to fight the challenges. In Halo 2, you get a massive pleasure spike when you beat that first level. You're like, damn, that was hard. I just got past this ridiculous thing. And then the experience is consistent. It's like, oh great, now I have to slog hours and hours on each level. Eventually you get bored, and that's what I think most people feel. Now I normally put up with it, so I agree that a challenge is a challenge and you should go up to it, but a lot of times it could also be a boring experience. Like Halo 2, a lot of people just gave up because it's just like, oh man, I just have to sit here in a corner, figure out when I'm full health, then try and attack these enemies at the right time. And that's the sort of thing that that I feel detracts from the experience. That it forces you to try and better yourself, but then when you reach that peak, there's no bettering yourself. It's just maintaining it, and maintaining it, I don't know. The fun is getting better. It's about improving and getting through the obstacles and doing and continuously improving. But having that main consistent, I'm hiding constantly and just figuring out how to attack, when to attack. Yeah, it's fun too. It's like a puzzle. I like puzzles too. But if I liked puzzles, I could go play a puzzle game. If I liked puzzles, I could go play scenario games like Call of Duty where you're following a scenario. Halo 2, I understand it and I enjoy it. I just don't think it's truly befitting of the experience.
Hey there, Limes Lion. So he's asking how long the podcast lasts from right now.
We don't really have a expectation. We're just trying to get into like longer than 2 hours right now, longer than the last episode. Yeah. We're going to see how long it goes. I know that today we're a little bit limited or pressed for time because we have other things to do in a couple hours or so. But
yeah, I think I might end it within an hour, but we'll see. We'll try to keep the conversation going as far as it goes. We're just letting it be natural. You know
we want everybody to have time to have their input, like, and give us an opinion on how they feel about what we're talking about. I don't know if everyone resonates with the Halo, because Halo 1, Halo 2 was like early 2000s type of thing. Maybe some of you are too young to have experienced it or haven't played it yet. Both games are like amazing. I think despite the problems of what we're talking about, Halo 1 was a 10 out of 10, and I think it came out in 2000. In 2004, Halo 2 came out. It came out a little weird with what they promised and under-delivered. It's still a 10 out of 10 to me, and Halo 3 is a 10 out of 10. We can talk
so moderators, well, you join the Discord and then you could ask us through there. If anyone wants to join our Discord, it's just called the Co-op Syndicate. You could find the Discord. You can find the Co-op Syndicate Discord through mine if you like. So if you're already a member there, I have to actually set up that command. Hold on, let me give you guys. I'll drop the link in the chat real quick. Jordan, keep the conversation going for me.
Right. So going back to what I was saying before, it's about finding the right balance. it's difficult in an FPS shooter because you have those situations. How far is too much? Do you just change the entire game to make it seem like you're hiding in a corner, or do you allow for an experience in which you can still run out and do that? Because games like Doom that are what Halo 1 Combat Evolved followed on and iterated is those type of games where you have to figure out when to jump in, when to find the right time to pick up the certain pickups that you need to keep going. And another thing about Doom, which Halo doesn't have, is that Halo is stuck on the 2-weapon problem, where you're forced to always keep one weapon that is worth using, like the plasma pistol, or a weapon that's really powerful enough to get you across, and then you can use the other weapon that you really wanted to use, a pistol or battle rifle, whatever it is, whatever the case may be. Versus Doom, where you get a weapon wheel with like 8 different weapons, and you can choose when to use them whenever you want. And it's like, maybe I'll use the RPG for this specific guy because I want to kill him really fast, but then I'll use my minigun to take down the lower level guys. Then I'll use a rifle to aim from far away and try. You're kind of changing. There's a different dynamic in Halo. You have a lot of the situation of Legendary is you standing far away and shooting from far away at a range, like like a regular shooter. In Halo 1, you felt more close range because the weapons weren't necessarily far range. In those times, you got more assault rifles and SMGs. In Doom, you get all those weapons. So at one point in the same scenario, you can be fighting one guy with a shotgun and a chainsaw, and the next second you have an RPG and shooting him from mid range and jumping around, and then the following second after that, you're using a sniper and doing like a far off battle. All at the same time.
Hey there, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Co-op Syndicate. Make sure to check out both the Co-op Syndicate main channel and clip channel to get all of our content. If you haven't already, please consider liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell as well so that you never miss out on any future episodes. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your friends and family, or you could also share it on any social media website of your liking. If you guys would prefer to listen to our podcast on the go instead of viewing the full episode on YouTube, consider checking the Co-op Syndicate podcast out at TheCo-OpSyndicate.buzzsprout.com. We host the Co-op Syndicate on Buzzsprout, and it is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere where you listen to your podcasts. If you'd like to watch us as we record the podcast live, you could actually give us a follow at twitch.tv/Co-op-Syndicate. We go live every Thursday and Saturday at 4:30 p.m. If you'd like to support the channel, you could consider subscribing to us with Amazon Prime for free over there. If you'd like to participate in community events and talk to other members of the community, consider joining our Discord, which I will leave the links to in the description down below. If you would like to support the podcast and get rewarded in return, consider pledging to our podcast at patreon.com/Co-op Syndicate, where you can support us at many different levels. There are multiple tiers that offer all sorts of different rewards for the level that you choose to support us at, including Discord privileges, merch, gift cards, and much more. Also, if you would just like the merch directly without pledging to the Patreon, you could buy our merch at merch.streamelements.com/Co-op Syndicate. Lastly, if you'd like to keep up with Jordan or I outside of the Co-op Syndicate, you can find us on every social media platform under Michael C. Moore for myself, or JG_Mark1 for Jordan. Thank you guys again, and until next time, happy listening.